In this video, we are going to go through what a Scrum Master, a good Scrum Master, does all day, minute by minute, to answer the very common question. Is the Scrum Master role a full-time job? Let's not kid ourselves. Many people believe that the role of a Scrum Master is not a full-time job, especially if this person is assigned to a single team. There's no way it's a full-time thing. And there's a lot of confusion around this role for two main reasons. First, people don't understand that. People don't understand the role of a Scrum Master. They don't know what the Scrum Master does all day. And second, the organization doesn't even understand Scrum or Agile. That's why there's so much confusion around the role of a Scrum Master. That's why there's so much pressure put on the Scrum Master into justifying what they do all day. What does a Scrum Master do all day? Can the Scrum Master start doing real work instead of this vague coaching stuff? If this describes your situation, don't worry. In this video, I'll give you enough data to justify your job as a Scrum Master. So let's start with a major part of the role of a Scrum Master, the Scrum events. First, we need to agree on the context. Let's assume here, for this example, that the team is working in 2 weeks sprints, and the team is a 6/10 in terms of Agile and Scrum maturity, meaning that the Scrum Master still facilitates most of the Scrum events. There's 5 major Scrum events. First, the backlog refinement. Second, the sprint planning, the daily Scrum, the sprint retrospective, and the sprint review. Depending on the maturity of a team, there will be different things that you'll need to do as a Scrum Master for all these Scrum events. You might need to facilitate the event, so you need to prepare stuff prior, then facilitate the session. There will be some post-session, some post-event actions that you will need to take, or that you need to coach the team or support the team into doing. First, the backlog refinement, where the team collaborates and works together to turn high-priority product backlog items into a ready state so that we can start development. There's a lot of things that goes into the definition of ready. You can watch this video for more details, but as a general consensus, the team should spend around 10% of the actual sprint into backlog refinement activities. In a sprint, there's 10 working days, 8-hour working days. That's a total of 80 hours of work for the Scrum Master per sprint, and 10% of 80 is 8 hours per sprint, 45 minutes per day spent on backlog refinement activities for the Scrum Master. Seems fair. The second Scrum event is the sprint planning, where the team defines what they can achieve in the next sprint and how they will do it together. The Scrum Guide 2020 recommends 8 hours for a 4 weeks sprint. We are doing 2-week sprint, so that's 4 hours. I don't like doing it in one go. A full session of 4 hours, I don't like it. I like splitting the work into each week, so 2 hours per week where the Scrum Master should facilitate the session and support the team into doing this sprint planning together. The next event is the daily Scrum, where the team crafts a plan for the day, how they will work together to get closer to the sprint goal. This session is time boxed to 15 minutes. And the next event is the sprint review, where the team shares what they accomplished with the stakeholders in this sprint. Usually they demo the actual work, they show the actual work that was done. This session is usually time boxed to 2 hours. And the last Scrum event is the sprint retrospective, where the team reflects on the just completed sprint in terms of what went well and what could be improved in future sprints. The time box for this event is 90 minutes. The next thing you need to add to this total is 60 minutes per day of prep work for the Scrum Master, like preparation work for the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master will need to facilitate a lot of events, so 60 minutes of prep work sounds fair to me. If you add everything together, the total is 18 hours out of 80. 18 hours out of 80, 22% for all the work of a Scrum Master on these Scrum events, activities, I could say. That's a lot of work. 22% is a lot, but still leaves a lot of time for actual work, real work. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Now, being a Scrum Master is all about supporting and serving the team. That means a lot of things. The Scrum Master does a lot of things. The popular things that the Scrum Master does is first, coaching the team, one-to-one coaching or either small group coaching for the product owner, the designer, the business analyst, the developers. Second, removing impediments, helping the team, supporting the team on identifying these impediments. and removing these impediments. Also, the sprint retrospective actions helping the team accomplish these improvement items. Another major part of the role of a Scrum Master is shielding the team from distractions. That's a lot of things that the Scrum Master does, but still a small percentage of the actual work that the Scrum Master does in the sprint. I'm sure that a lot of Scrum Masters watching this video are thinking, I do a lot more than that. But let's keep it simple. Keep it simple. Only these 4 things. These 4 things alone. 20 minutes for helping the team per day on sprint retrospective actions. Maybe 20 minutes again per day on shielding the team. 40 minutes for these 2 activities. That sounds fair to me. Next is 30 minutes per day to help the team identify and remove impediments, and another 30 minutes to coach the team. Only 30 minutes per day to coach the whole team. Now, let's assume you have a team of 9 people and everyone in the team will have issues every day. That's how the complex environment works. And when people have issues with tools, processes, or anything else, they usually go to the Scrum Master. Let's assume here that not all the 9 people go to the Scrum Master every single day. Only 4 person. And you usually spend 30 minutes per day helping people. That's 2 hours. 2 hours. And a big portion of your day is also interacting with a product owner. Let's assume here that you interact with a product owner every single day for 30 minutes. If you add everything together, the total is 42 hours. All these things, these 4 things per day, 42 hours in the sprint for these 4 activities alone. And that's not all. I'm guessing here that you eat every day, right? And you also walk around the office. Let's assume here that it's 1 hour eating and walking around the office. A big portion that we didn't talk about is how the Scrum Master supports and serves the organization. That's a lot of work, but let's keep it to 20 minutes only per day. That's small compared to the actual what the Scrum Master actually does, but only 20 minutes per day. A Scrum Master should also be always learning new techniques, reading books, articles, watching videos, watching my YouTube channel. 20 minutes per day. Only 20 minutes. And with all these tasks that the Scrum Master does, the person will lose time switching, context switching. And a lot of time is lost with context switching when you have so many things to do. So 30 minutes per day of lost time between tasks for context switching. That sounds fair to me. If you add the time spent for these 4 things together, that equates to 21 hours per sprint. And if you add everything that we talked about in this video, 81 hours per sprint. Out of 80 hours, all these activities that we talked about, 81 hours. That's a lot of work. And I know that a lot of Scrum Masters watching this video are thinking that they do even a lot more than that. We do a lot more than that. And we did even talk about the real work instead of coaching and vague stuff, the real work that the Scrum Master does. So to answer the question, is the Scrum Master role a full-time job? I would say yes, it's even more than a full-time job. And a lot of organizations even tell Scrum Masters to support multiple teams. Just imagine, how can the Scrum Master do that? A single team, 81 hours. Now imagine multiple teams. The team will suffer from this decision of supporting multiple teams. It's the team which will pay the consequences of a Scrum Master supporting multiple teams. So next time someone tells you in the organization to justify what you do every single day, show them this video. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.